most people that are really, really wealthy, I think, are really, really miserable. And it's because somewhere on that line, they sold their soul for money. They sold their happiness for money. I refuse to do that.
If you follow Bradley, you've probably heard him say this, but hey, if I gave you $10 million, how would you react? And most people are going to respond with, dude, I'd be amazed. I'd be so excited. It would literally change my life. If I also told you that I'm going to give you that, but you die in a couple hours, do you still want to take it? Like, no. Then you obviously value waking up tomorrow more than $10 million. So why don't you wake up at an 11 out of 10 every day?
Chase money, it'll run from you. Anything that you chase, an animal that you chase, it'll run from you. You don't attract things that way. Be passionate about something. Put your soul into it. Do it because it makes you happy. Money will be there.
Dan Fulkerson.
Good to be back. Whoa. Not back. You know. Back in
on
your
the
presence.
podcast.
I haven't been in this room before, but yeah.
So last time we shot the podcast at your office. If you guys watch it, it was the one with all the awesome turf background. His office is insane. Makes mine look like a little crack house.
No, bro.
No,
I love this place. It's clean.
Your office is great. But yeah, we did. You know that you're our #1 viewed and downloaded episode?
No shit.
Yeah, dude. People. Yeah, and all the clips did really well too.
I did not know that.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
you're the #1. Every time we refresh, I'm like expecting like somebody's got to pass him at some time.
That just adds pressure to this being back on. So yeah, I like that.
I just like it when we go with the flow, and that'll you got so much good info. So
that's why you're like, what do you want to talk about? I'm like, I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah,
talk about whatever.
Yeah. So tell everybody, for those who don't know you, who you are and what you do.
Dan Fulkerson. I'm that weird, crazy bulldog guy. Batta Fulkerson Law Group. We help people that get injured in car accidents, motorcycle accidents, any type of injury situation. I mean, that's my day to day. I also have a bulldog rescue. So when I'm not a lawyer, I'm rescuing dogs, doing that kind of stuff. A lot of community work, a lot of give back. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and if you know Dan, if you ever see him in public, he always has a bulldog in his hand and usually one on the leash and a couple somewhere around. I mean, it's crazy.
I have 6 of them myself, so it's no lack of bulldogs whenever you're with me. And 4 of them come to the office with me every day, so they're running around. I just converted my office into like a little dog park. I pulled up the carpet and put like a little gated area just to make it a little separate. So yeah, we're set now. Yeah,
that's awesome. You know who was in here today was Cindy, the bulldog realtor.
Oh, yeah.
She was here like 2 hours ago.
Yeah, she's got a really cool Project Winston that she's been working on that I absolutely love. And Cindy's been a big supporter of my rescue and has always been a big helper. She actually got Olive, her youngest female English, through me when I was working with Rescue Love Bulldogs.
Yep. Yeah, she told me the story of how she met you, where you just like handed her a bulldog and were like, all right, I got to go do this stuff. And like you guys were at an event and she was like, that's awesome. Like
it's crazy how many great life connections dogs have made for me.
Yeah.
And she's one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Like through all the rescue stuff, I mean, got to know you through even more through people like Sharon and other rescues. Yep. So it's funny how tight niche and just the quality of the relationships that happen through those kind of things.
Well, it's one of those things that you kind of know a lot about a person if they're into that kind of thing, right? Like that just speaks to their character. It speaks to what they want their life energy to be. And I've always said, like, I like dogs more than I like people. And if you're a person that's like, nah, I hate dogs, I'm like, I don't know, we might not get along very well.
Yeah.
So
I don't understand how anybody can hate a dog.
There's people.
I just don't get it.
There's people.
I get it if you're not a fan of dogs and like you'll pet a dog, but like people that are like, get that thing away. Like I get it if you don't like cats like that. I kind of get that.
I do too. I understand that.
I love cats. I think cats are cool. I think all animals are cool, but how do you not like a dog?
I have people that'll call my office for a case and they're like, hey, when I come in, will you please make sure that like all the dogs are put away? I don't want to be around any of the dogs. I mean, like, it's a business, right? Like, so, I might judge you mentally, but, you still come in. But there's definitely those people out there. And I don't know if it's like a traumatic situation or they just never been around a dog. Usually if you meet like Teddy or one of my like, little ones, it's immediate like love. And you're like, okay, I get it. But, teach their own.
Well, bulldogs and like the Frenchies are like, I just don't understand how you can be afraid. I mean, a bulldog, how much damage can a bulldog do?
Yeah. What's crazy is a lot of insurance companies have put them on their homeowners we won't insure you list, which is so weird to me. Because I mean, I've been doing personal injury and dog bite cases and a lot of dog bite cases for 12 years now. I've never had a bulldog bite, right? I've never had a French bulldog bite, an English bulldog bite. And out of nowhere this year, the homeowners insurances are like, no, we won't insure bulldogs. So it's like pit bulls, bulldogs, Dobermans now. And I'm like, why bulldogs? It makes no sense to me.
How about labs?
Labs are fine.
But labs bite a lot, don't they? Is it the
labs
severity?
Don't bite a lot, but I've had some bad lab bites.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so labs get weird and finicky when they get scared.
Right.
So I've had some of the worst dog bite cases of my career on like 4th of July, right? Where a lab's out, like bites off some dude's nose, right? Like I've had those type of cases, but labs aren't usually just aggressive in nature. It's usually they get scared and they react bite is normally with labs.
Got it.
But I've had like golden doodles. Probably the worst dog bite case that I've ever had in my career was a young kid, 3 years old, who was around a family friend's golden doodle, and this dog bit a hole in this kid's cheek. And I mean a hole where you could like see into this kid's mouth through his cheek. And it was a golden doodle. And people are like, they're great family dogs. I'm like, every dog can react if in the wrong situation and if not raised the right way. And, you know, temperament's something that comes from environment for the most part. You know this with pits. Like, people judge pit bulls all the time. I'm like, no, it's not usually the dog. It's usually how they were treated and how they were raised. Pit bulls can be some of the sweetest, nicest, most loving family dogs if they're in the right environment and raised the right way.
Yeah. Now, question for you, since you have tremendous experience with dogs. When it comes to like the Michael Vick dogs, right? Those dogs that are, they are dealt some rough cards.
Yeah.
A lot of those dogs actually recovered, right? Do you think that that's something that you can turn around? Because I think instinctively all dogs are good, right? I think all people are good in the beginning. I think they start that way, right?
Yeah.
But do you think that those dogs can recover?
So I have a really, really good trainer, and it's like an intensive training. Like you drop off your dog, it's there for 6 weeks, right? And I've seen some dogs go from being vicious, scary dogs to great family pets.
Really?
But I've also seen some dogs that are just like, you're not going to ever be a safe dog. Right. And so I think that there is a little bit of both. But do I think that there's hope for dogs that have bitten in the past and that have had issues in the past? Certainly. But there are some dogs that it's so ingrained in them that I would not feel comfortable with them around people.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. I think that some dogs just have so much trauma that their instinct is always going to be protect themselves, 100%. That's too bad.
Yeah. In certain environments, like, in pack, right? Like pack mentality is a different thing too. Like I've had cases where a 3-pack of dogs have attacked a young child and we're going after this child's throat, like trying to kill a kid.
Yeah.
Like, that's scary stuff. Yeah. So, pack mentality is real as well.
Yeah. And the pack mentality, the whole herd mentality is crazy with dogs. When you watch one dog come in and one dog leave, or when a dog dies in a group of dogs, how things change,
Well, we have it as humans as well.
Yeah.
Like we saw it with all the riots and protests that we went through a few years ago. Like people are different when they're in a big pack or they're in a big group like that. They do stuff that they wouldn't normally otherwise do. So that's human nature as well as dog nature.
Right. Yeah. And we're back. We had to take a quick break. We've got 3 rescue dogs in the house right now, and one of them just started coughing. So
I feel like this is like my house, my life. Like I get it.
Yeah.
No worries.
So I want to talk about Project Bluebeam because that's kind of the next. We've been talking about that a lot on Instagram. But tell me real quick about the Bulldog Ranch. You have the property out in, is it like East County or somewhere?
Yeah, deep East County. I picked it up during COVID. Like I was having utter anxiety with how things were going in COVID, the restrictions, the mandates. You couldn't go to the beach. Everything's blocked off. Like I'm from Idaho, right? Like I grew up like free. Like that's don't come and tell me how to live my life. Like let me live how I want to live. Like that's just how I've been based, right? So when it started to be like restrictions on everything, I was literally like, I'm gonna have to move back to Idaho. Like I can't deal with this. I was having anxiety. So my hedge was I picked up a ranch outside of town. So I got 6.5 acres, no neighbors. I can do what I want to do. I can live how I want to live.
Can you shoot guns out there?
Yeah, damn
people
sure you
don't
can
care?
shoot.
Yeah,
damn sure you can shoot guns out there.
That's
good. I got a whole little setup for shooting guns out there, a whole little range area.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so it's great.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, handguns. It's hard for rifles. I don't have enough room, but definitely handguns.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's now going to be the Bulldog Rescue Ranch. Now, when that comes into fruition, I don't know. Like I had to renovate the entire house. That was a huge project. The house had so many issues. So I just got done doing that. My life's gotten a little hectic with, I opened up a firm in Idaho, opened up a firm an office in Boise. So, trying to figure that out. That was a hedge as well from COVID, because I thought California was going to come in and go, hey, you're going to have to vaccinate all your employees. I was going to lose a couple really key pieces on my staff, and I wasn't going to do that. So I was like, I'll take the Idaho bar. I'll open an Idaho office. I'll hire these employees if I need through the Idaho office.
Right.
Don't have to worry about California bullshit. Thank God it didn't end up going down that way, but that was why I did that. And then we ended up picking up a lot of cases in Idaho.
Nice.
Because my family's out there. I'm from there.
Yeah. And what a great way for you to go see your family. Like now it's like, you can't use the excuse of, oh, I've got work. Like, I'm not going to go out there because I'm busy. Like, well, now it's an excuse to be busy out there with your family. Like, that's amazing.
It's the biggest blessing.
Yeah.
Like, I got 2 young nieces. My grandmother, I'm going back this weekend for her 90th birthday.
Wow.
She's out there. My mom's out there, works at a hospital. My sister works in a hospital. So it's like, I get to finally reconnect with my family.
Yeah.
Right? And I get to be there on a way more consistent basis, and I don't feel like I'm missing life. And as I get older, I realize, the money becomes ones and zeros on a screen. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm a businessman. Like, I want to run a successful business, and that's profits, and that's making sure that everyone gets taken care of and staff gets paid and things are growing. But the money has become very secondary in my life. And
right.
I think that's the biggest blessing, is that I don't just do things based on how I'm going to make the most money and, what the most financial advantageous move is for me. It's what's going to make me happy.
Yeah.
And what's going to feed my soul. And the Idaho play has been a huge soul feed. And I'm very, very happy that I made that move. Taking the bar again after 11 years was a fucking trip. Like,
I
studying
bet.
for a test, like, that was crazy, but I'm glad I did it.
Well, it's funny because you didn't do this for money, but now that your soul is like more at peace, and I'm sure your anxiety's gone away, and 100%. Just reconnecting with friends and family, 100%. Like your roots, just makes everything so much better. But then the money kind of flows with that.
That's how life works.
Weird.
That's how life works. You chase something, it runs. Jeff Fenster.
Yeah.
You know Jeff.
Yep.
Jeff always says that. He's like, you chase money, it'll run from you. Anything that you chase, an animal that you chase, it'll run from you. You don't attract things that way.
Yeah.
Be passionate about something. Put your soul into it. Do it because it makes you happy. Money will be there. And most people that are really, really wealthy, I think you and I have had this conversation, are really, really miserable. Like, most wealthy people are miserable humans. And it's because somewhere on that line, they sold their soul for money.
Yeah.
And they sold their happiness for money. I refuse to do that.
Yeah.
I had a guy this morning that was like, hey, I saw you at the Mission K 5K with your big bulldog. He's like, how much ROI do you get from that? I'm like, none. He's like, you really are that weird guy that just does this because you like to do it. And I'm like, yeah, it's not a business play. I could put that money into commercials or something like that and make way more money. That's not how my life works. That's not how I've ever built my life. That's not the way that I want to build the rest of my life. I want to be happy.
Yeah. And you are, like, genuinely. Yeah.
Genuinely. Like, people that don't think it's real, and then they meet me and they're like, oh shit, like, you're a happy person. I'm a very happy person.
Yeah.
But it's because of how I've set up my life. It's because of how I built my life. That's why I'm happy.
Well, your life is all around service too, right? I think a lot of people get it wrong where life is about 2 things, right? It's about service to self or service to others, right?
For sure.
And sometimes service to self is necessary. Like, sometimes you need recovery time. You need to be, sometimes you got to tell people no, you got to cut people off. That a little bit of that is okay.
For sure.
But I think 80-20, right? Like, and you're like 99% service to others. I mean, I've never seen somebody who is at all of these events, even though I know you don't always like being around a bunch of people, but you go to these events, you genuinely are there for people, you support everybody, you put people on. Like, dude, you really are a role model, like crazy.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that has added so much value to my life. It's like, in a weird way, it's selfish, you know what I mean? Because it's made me have such different perspective on life and on what's important and on the things that you should build your life around, right? Like, I tell people all the time, if you're depressed, there's 2 things that you can do. You can start working out every day and do something physically active every single day and go and try to help someone else. And I will guarantee if you do those 2 things every single day, you will wake up a month from now and you will not be depressed.
Right.
You'll be in a completely different state. And people don't realize that we can control those things.
Right.
So many people get stuck in this rut of life. You have to be able to bring yourself out of those things by using specific tools. One of those is life perspective. Giving back gives you life perspective.
Yeah. And I mean, the gratitude too, understanding where you are. And it's tough sometimes because when I look at my life 5 years ago, I could not imagine the life that I have. I mean, just this office alone wasn't even possible.
Bro, I've watched your build. I told you how proud I am of you. Like I've watched what you've built in such a short period of time. And 100%.
Yeah. Well, when we first went to lunch, I mean, you gave me all this game and I was a nobody and you were like, yeah, I'll take you to lunch. Like, let's go out. We went to the university club and, you gave me a roadmap, you gave me the formula. And I always talk about this on the podcast, but if you want to find success, you just have to find somebody who's successful and then ask them what they do and then do what they do. Like, that's it,
And good, successful people are so willing to share it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not like, oh, I need to keep this for me. No, that's not how good, successful people think or live. They want to put other people on. They want to pull other people up. That's what makes the world a better place. There's so many people that are miserable, that are stuck in that rut. Like, that's not the world I want to live in.
Yeah.
I want to live in people like you and I that are trying to help other people, trying to make the world a better, more positive place. Like, that's better for all of us.
Well, we all win. David Meltzer talks about, it's funny, we were actually at David Meltzer's house one time. We're out sitting, he has a house in Mission Beach.
Yeah.
And we're sitting out in the back, and this guy is riding on a bike, and there's a lady on rollerblades, Mission Beach.
Yeah.
And they almost hit each other, and the guy's freaking out at the girl's freaking out at the guy, and Dave just looks and turns around because it distracted everybody.
Yeah.
And they kind of went off, and he's like, wouldn't it have been better if they just both said sorry and went on their way? Like, now they're both fuming in this negative direction.
Yeah.
When if you had just been like, hey, my bad, cool, shake hands, whatever, then you go off in a better mood than you were before.
Yeah.
So I just think that more people need to have empathy for other people.
Yep.
And try to just understand other people's perspectives, because everybody's going through something that nobody knows.
Damn straight. And I think through what I do and seeing people like walk out of their house in the morning, right? And they're like, oh, I'm going to go on my Wednesday and have a great day at work. And then there's a serious car accident, or they get hit by a car as a pedestrian and their whole world changes.
Yeah.
Right? That can happen in the blink of an eye. That's perspective. It's realizing there are no bad days in this life. Like, be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for your health. Be grateful for the status quo.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, bad shit happens to good people.
Yeah.
And that's why I wake up every day happy. Because I've seen so much bad shit happen to good people that you realize, like, there ain't time to be worried about like the small stupid stuff.
Right.
Small stupid stuff happens to all of us, but it's how you react to that small stupid stuff.
Right. Bradley has a saying that he says on his shows a lot, and if you follow Bradley, you've probably heard him say this, but I think he calls it the $10 million challenge or something.
Yeah.
But basically, hey, if I gave you $10 million, I said right now I'm giving you $10 million. How would this person react? How would you react? And most people are going to respond with, dude, I'd be amazed. I'd be so excited. It would literally change my life. It's like, okay, on a 1 to 10 scale, how happy are you?
Yeah.
They're like 11, I'm going to be so happy. And of course they would, right? But now if I also told you, and this is what Brad says, if I also told you that I'm going to give you that, but you die in a couple hours or tomorrow, right? Do you still want to take it?
Yeah.
It's like, no. It's like, okay, well, then you obviously value waking up tomorrow more than $10 million. So why don't you wake up at an 11 out of 10 every day?
For sure. And everyone has different tools, right? Like Gary Vaynerchuk does if I have something bad in business, I just think if my wife or my kids, if they had terminal cancer, how would I feel? Like, but those are perspective things that you can use on your brain to be able to refocus on what is truly important in life.
Yeah.
And I have real hard days at work, right? Like where stuff doesn't go right, but at the end of the day, I can always go, life's pretty good. You know what I mean? I got my health, my family's good, like it's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
And then you move on and you get up the next day and it's a better day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And anytime you hit some kind of adversity, it always seems like it's the end of the road, right? At least, and maybe not the more times you go through it, but when you hit a wall, I typically have found that usually breakdowns happen right before breakthroughs. You just got to figure out how to get through that wall, over it, under it, through it, whatever, right?
Yeah. And shit happens to everyone. It's like what you said. No one knows the struggles that any individual is going through. And most people don't wear that stuff on their sleeve. And so be kind to people. Be nice to people. Spread good energy. Like, don't react when someone's short with you. Like, wish them a better day. Because we're all in this human experience going through life, and we're all going to experience curveballs that we don't see coming.
Yeah. No, the ego is a motherfucker.
Bro. It's something that we all struggle with. Like, even people that'll tell you about ego and will lecture you about ego have ego, right?
Yeah.
And they have to check it from time to time.
Yeah.
But ego is one of the biggest weaknesses that people can have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it can be a strength too?
Confidence is a strength.
Yeah.
Ego and confidence are different to me.
Okay.
Right? Like, confidence is knowing that you're really good at something, seeing stuff in your mind's eye, like knowing that success is going to come, knowing that you're going to be able to push through, knowing that you're really good at stuff. Ego is thinking you're better than other people, thinking that you're above shit, thinking that, no, this is below me. Like,
yeah.
That's, to me, the way that I think of ego.
Got it.
And I never want to live my life that way. Like,
yeah.
There's nothing that's below me. There's nothing that's above me. I don't like the word boss. I'm lucky that we work together like that. Like, it makes me cringe when employees are like, oh, this is my boss. I'll immediately be like, no, I'm not your boss.
Yeah.
Like, we're lucky to work together.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like that term.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I just think that that's where ego comes in, where you become bigger than what you really are in this life.
Right. Yeah. So let's talk. We talked about this on the podcast the first time you came on, was a little bit about visualization, the law of attraction stuff.
Yep.
But your letter to self, you wrote in 4th grade. When was it? You wrote this letter.
8th grade. I think it was 8th grade.
So tell that story, and then I want to kind of add to it, because the last time you had sent me a picture of the letter. Yeah. And well, I'll say the other part that we figured out afterwards, but tell the story about the letter that you wrote to yourself.
Shit's a trip. The assignment was write a letter to your best friend, so your current best friend, like you hadn't talked to them since you were 18 years old at high school graduation. You're now 30. Fill them in on your life, right? Like, fill them in on the last 12 years of your life. My best friend at the time, his name is Brandon Sweeney, happens to still be one of my best friends in the world. He's my brother. And I wrote him a letter, and my letter literally laid out, I live in San Diego. I have a successful law firm. I have a house with a water view. We're one of the best firms in the city. Like, it laid out my current life.
Yeah.
Right. And which is cool, right? Because I didn't know that I was in 8th grade. I didn't know I was going to go to law school. Like, I didn't know how life was going to play out. But the trippiest part of this was, I'd never been to San Diego, right? And it didn't say in the letter it was San Diego, but the letter had a address on it. Because, when you send a letter, proper, you're trying to get a good grade, you have to send the address where it came from. The address was in San Diego. Yeah. So that was the first thing that I tripped out on, right? I'm like, that's crazy. Like, how did I know I was going to end up here? Like, I'd never even visited San Diego.
But it did say San Diego, California.
San Diego,
like
California.
Some fake zip code, right?
Some fake zip code, some fake, what I created is a fake street address. I didn't look it up. I didn't do anything like that. Like, I just created a fake address to put on a letter as an 8th grader.
Yeah.
I sent this letter. I found it like 4 years ago, and I framed it.
Yeah.
Okay? But I sent it to a buddy, like, I don't know, a year ago. And he responds.
Dude, this was me.
Was it you that I did?
This was after the podcast. You sent me. You're like, dude, look at this is the letter, and I was like, oh, that's sick. And I copied and pasted the address.
That's right. And that was how I. And it tripped me the fuck out, bro. Like, so I send you the letter.
Yeah.
And you call me.
Yeah.
And you're like,
dude,
bro, have you checked that address?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? And so I Google Maps that address.
Yeah.
That address is a real address that's like a half a mile from my office and my house.
Yeah.
Like a stone's throw.
Dude, what are the chances though?
It's one of those things I'm like, okay, we live in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Like, we live in the Matrix.
Yeah.
It's over. Like, that doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was an 8th grader in Eagle, Idaho. Like, I didn't know where life's going to take me, and I somehow create a fake address that happens to be where I bought a building and bought a house, and like, bro, it's a trip. But it goes to the fact that you can create the reality that you want to live in.
Yeah.
There is a power to manifestation. It's not just as easy as going, no, this is what it's going to be. There's work to it. There's something you have to put into it, but you can create the reality that you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Down to almost the exact detail,
Bro, I'm so glad that you reminded me of that. I forgot that it was you that called me on that.
Yeah, because I was right afterwards, and I was just curious because you had texted me a picture of it afterwards. I was like, dude, that's sick. And I'm like, wait, that street, like, let me just see, you know? And it wasn't an actual house address, but the street and everything, and it where it put the pin where the address would be on that actual street, right in between your office and your house.
Bro, it's
unreal.
I remember after I talked to you, I sent it to Brandon. I was like, Google this address. And he called me and was just like, what the fuck, man? Like, how does it? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's one of the weirdest, trippiest life deals to me. Yeah. And I appreciate you finding that for me.
Dude, that was
I would have never found that.
Yeah, well, something just in me was like, this goes deeper. Like, and sometimes, and the thing about you said, that doesn't happen. I think it happens if you're tuned in to whatever else we can't see, because there's something else.
Oh, for sure.
There is some kind of field of energy that you can pull ideas from, you know? And I
agree with that.
And it happens. It's crazy.
I agree with that. And I don't know how it works, and I can't really truly explain it, but that was one of those life moments where I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Like, and it also tells me I'm on the right track.
Right.
Like, that was what it solidified with me. I'm like, I'm living my life the right way. Like, I'm doing things the right way. I'm listening to my intuition. I'm putting myself in the situations that I need to put myself into. I'm walking through the doors that I need to walk through.
Yeah.
And that gave me confidence as well.
Crazy, dude.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So let's talk about Batta Fulkerson. Yeah. And so a lot of people don't know. I mean, they know what personal injury attorneys are, but what... Because you guys kind of set the bar at a different level. You guys are not the typical personal injury attorneys.
As I say, the sleazy, slimy ambulance chaser.
Yeah.
Paul laughs because I say it the same way every time. But yeah, it's I never want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Like, I never want to be that firm. I never want to be I worked for a guy that would give out stuffed ambulances with his name on them. Like, that's just not... It drained my soul, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I don't want to be solicitous. I hope no one gets hurt. Like, I hope that, there's autonomous cars someday and there's no accidents and it puts me out of business. I'm a businessman. I'll find another way to make money. Like, I'm not worried about that. I like helping people, and I like that we do it the right way, whereas a lot of firms sell people out and will settle for the first amount that's offered and won't really push down that next door. And the difference of $5,000 to $10,000 to me or to you might not be what it is to some people, but a difference of $5,000 to $10,000 to most people is a game changer.
Right.
And seeing how many firms are mills and they will literally just...
We got a rescue dog. Hold on, just one second.
Are you good?
Look, I'm Dan Fulkerson.
Yeah, you're Teddy.
All right.
You're big Teddy. Yeah, so it's, the difference between $5,000 or $10,000 to most people is a game changer in life and puts them in a different situation. And I just see a lot of injury firms that are mill-like, right? They're going to take every case that comes their way. They're going to try to sign up every case that comes their way. I never want to be a mill. I'm like a quality over quantity person.
Right.
Every person that calls me, I tell them, I'm like, I have to meet with you before I can tell you if I can take your case. I don't care if it's $1 million case, a $10 million case, or a $15,000 case. I want to meet with you. I want to make sure it's a good human connection.
Yep.
If you're an asshole with a $10 million case, there's someone for you, but it's not me. Like, I just don't have that in my soul anymore. And I think that goes back to, I'm not going to make decisions based on finances. I'm not going to make decisions based on money. I'm going to make decisions based on happiness and what puts my life in the best situation. And I'm going to be true to myself and my ethics. And so many injury attorneys don't have ethics.
Right.
And I surround myself with people that are ethical and kind and live life the right way. And that's how I run my firm.
Yeah.
And whether it's how we hire, how we pay people, it's all across the board. Like, it's not going to be greedy. It's going to be shared. It's going to be community. And that's how we've grown. That's how we become one of the biggest in the business. And that's how we become the name that we have. And that's why, my proudest thing is you ask around about me and you're going to get a good response, right? You're going to have people that go, he lives the right way. That makes me very, very proud. I don't care if I don't have a Bugatti. I don't care if I don't have, that's not the way my life works. I want people to know I live the right way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I know nobody that can say anything bad about you. Cause I mean, like I said, your life is service to others, which funny enough comes back when you're not trying to get something from it. You're not chasing the outcome. It always comes back to you. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, you deal with the general public, you got crazies, right? Like, you know, I've had people do and say some of the weirdest things. And so like, you're going to have some crazies in your life, but those aren't the people, like the opinions that I'm like worried about. I'm worried about people like you and people that, you know, I have respect for. As long as people like that know how I live,
yeah,
that's the most important thing to me. And it's also, you know, I take a lot of pride in where I come from, right?
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's like if my mom came into town and I roll up on someone on the street, what are they going to tell my mom about me? Right? Like, if I take my mom to Barbusa for dinner, what are they going to say about me and how I live my life?
Right.
Like, that's more important than anything else to me. I want my family to know that, you know, I'm carrying on how I was taught how to live.
Right. Dude, that's badass. Yeah. And I think that's how everybody should live.
Yeah, I think it is too. I just think a lot of people unfortunately sell out.
Yeah. Yeah. So one last positive message for the audience. What would you say to somebody?
One last positive message.
Especially with like what's going on nowadays with the banks and I don't know, just everything.
Crazy of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that we've hit on a couple points. I would just tell you, like, you got to have empathy for people. People are going through a lot right now. Like, I meet with a lot of people, whether it's through rescue, whether it's through the law firm. People are dealing with a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of friction in our society and a lot of intentional division, right? Where there's powers that be that are trying to shake the ant jar, and all the ants are like fighting over stuff when really everyone should be going, who's shaking the jar and why? So I think that don't let people divide you, right? Find commonalities, find things that you know, find love in relationships instead of finding, hey, I disagree with you on this. Let's make it an issue between us where we don't have a human connection, because that's what they want. They want us divided right now. So that's why I don't like the whole Republican Democrat thing.
Yeah.
That's why I say both parties are dog shit, because they are. Find human connection, find human values that you have, because we are all on this same mission together. And if you can kind of connect at that core, the rest of it falls into place.
Right.
Like, I can have a conversation with someone that has completely differing opinions with me, but I can walk away with that conversation with respect and love for that person.
Right.
Like, that's how we should be able to be. That's how we're going to be a better country. That's how we're going to be a better world. That's how we're going to be a better society. The division is the problem. And the division is an intentional creation because it makes us weaker. And so I think that's my message for people, is just try to not let the world divide you. Try to look for things that you have in common. And when you do have disagreements, don't take them so damn personally. Like, we should be able to have a civil conversation without attacking one another.
Yeah. Dude, what a great statement. Dan, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
You guys, go follow this guy on Instagram. And if you're in a car accident or any kind of injury situation, reach out to Dan and Paul at Batta Fulkerson. Yep. We're going to link in the show notes and in the description wherever you're listening to this. Yeah.
Always here to help. Everyone drive safe. Like, you know, I tell everyone all the time, like, put your phones away. Don't be driving distracted. So many accidents can be avoided, and it's just not worth it. So throw your phone in the back seat. If you don't have willpower, like, that's what I had to start doing, because I'm like, you know, it's ringing it all the time. So I'll just like throw it in the back seat. I can't even get to it. It can wait. Like, those kind of things are just not worth the life consequences.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you ever need us, Dan Fulkerson on Instagram, Bulldog Lawyers, where I post most of the Bulldog rescues and Bulldog content. Batta Fulkerson, the big Bulldog building off the 5 freeway as you're heading 5 north, cross Washington. You'll see the big dog on the roof. But yeah, always here to help. Anyone that needs anything, reach out.
Thank you, bro.
Of course. Thank you for having me on again.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.